Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is the tier list where we will be ranking every single one of Manchester United's managers post Sir Alex Ferguson and seeing which tier they fit in.
Do you know what's shit about this?
They're all shit.
One, but the fact that there's loads of them.
There's loads. There's 7 to go through, and the tiers are as follows. We've got greatest since Fergie, needed more time, restored some pride, out of their depth, and finally, disaster. Right, so let's start then with David Moyes. Came in after Sir Alex Ferguson, was basically chosen by Sir Alex.
Yeah. Even though Fergie's kind of disowned that now and said it wasn't really me.
Yeah. Came in, had a, 52.9% win rate, won 0 trophies. His main achievement was, what?
As I'm going to say,
Juan Mata to the club. The record.
I don't think he brought Juan Mata to the club. I think he was given Juan Mata.
Fellaini.
Listen, I like Fellaini, but I think the Charity Shield was all right. Nice day out. 3-0 against Wigan. Was it 3-0? Yeah. Wilfred Zaha
for the first time.
Yeah. Oh, see, memories. Can't buy them. Memories.
Literally.
Hey.
Right. So let's see.
It was just rapidly downhill after that.
Let's write down which category we think David Moyes should be in. Then we'll turn these around when we're all ready. Are you ready, Steve?
Ready.
3, 2, 1. Disaster. Out of his depth.
Oh, Stephen.
You've not stuck the knife in as much as you could there.
Yeah,
we'll start with you then. You're the odd one out. Why was he not a disaster?
I think he was extremely disappointing. And going from champions to 7th, pretty bad.
Right, okay.
Arguably,
At Leicester.
Arguably a drop in more than we've seen from any other manager. But I don't think we can call him the full disaster. I might save that for somebody else. And I think he's shown he was only out of his depth at United. If you catch him what I'm throwing. I think what he's done with West Ham, he's shown, although it wasn't looking good until he went to West Ham.
Well, West Ham might finish above Manchester United this season. There'd be some irony in that, wouldn't there?
Therefore, out of his depth.
I think for me, he's almost between disaster and out of his depth. I do feel he was out of his depth and he shouldn't have got the job, and that's technically not his fault. It's a bit like Maguire with
He
his
never
transfer
actually accepted it, did he? If you listen to the conversation,
Yeah,
it was like, Fergie go, you mean he was in his house?
No, I was there when he announced it, when he got unveiled. Yeah,
I was tiling his fucking, I was tiling his porch, and then Fergie walked in, I was like, fucking hell, what's going on here?
Well, that's the thing when I went to the press conference when he was unveiled. And he acted like me and you getting a job. He's like, Fergie rings me. And then he says, you're going to be next United manager. Couldn't believe it.
And I went, so he never was like, okay.
Yeah.
Or he was just like, you're the new United manager. He was like, I'm the new United manager. So he never actually accepted the job. He was told, voluntold.
Yeah, and I do feel sorry in that respect, but we were the champions. We still had a core of fantastic players who had a little bit left in the tank as well, I feel. I don't think they were done. I don't think Vidic and Evra and Rio were done. I don't think Rooney and Carrick were done. And yet, or even Van Persie, and yet it's like we're treating them like they were all 40 and they were spent. They weren't. We pretty much walked the league the season
Only
before.
by 10 points.
Yeah, and we only won it by only 10 points because Fergie started mixing up the squad towards the end and wasn't bothered about record-breaking.
Keeping it interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Literally.
Yeah.
I think that you got to go out of his depth with him, and obviously I can understand why you go disaster. I mean, I hovered, but I think what he's done at Everton, I think he probably needed to go and take ayahuasca and like have a think about things in between United and going and what he's done at West Ham.
Yeah.
I think he's shown he is the man. If you want to have an underdog overachieve, he's that.
That's a shout.
Which means that Manchester United, where you need to win a trophy every season or the knives are out, and you better be challenging for the league, and you better do it in style, and we better light you. Or he didn't have all of those, which tells me that he isn't a disaster. He was just out of his depth.
I think his time at Manchester United was disastrous.
Do you know what's pushing
but
me?
For about 37 seconds, Joe, we was going to the Champions League final.
Honestly, I'll give you that. That's
Certainly
actually. I forgot about that. That was him, wasn't it? Yeah,
no, because we would have won.
That was the best moment, those 37 seconds in Munich. But I think the reason I feel disaster as well, he's like the opposite of Ralf Rangnick in a way, in terms of press conferences.
Yeah.
Like, you listen to Ralf Rangnick, he'd be quite exciting what he's saying or whatever. Moyes was unbelievably bad at the media side of things. Like, he would say things and you would go, why are you saying those words?
And
like, we need to improve on
first
passing.
press conference on the tour, it was like...
Yeah. Like, honestly, do you know who he reminded me of? Alexander Butner. No, honestly, when Butner got unveiled at United, he was like, almighty. And that was what Moyes was like. And you cannot be Man United manager like that.
Rabbit in the headlights.
Yeah, and he said so many silly things. Like, Shinji Kagawa was, he's out because he ate too much. And Shinji Kagawa was like, no, I'm not. I think I'm an idiot. What you on about?
How much is he eating?
Yeah.
Was it his stomach cut open and had a
I
deer
had a great
sewn
convo
into
with
it?
Evra about Moyes.
Go on.
So I was thinking I asked Evra everything you'd ever want to ask him. And I thought, when you sort of ask someone a question, you kind of think you know 75% of the answer, but you want to hear it from them.
Yeah.
I asked him about Suarez and stuff, and he surprised me what he said. He's forgiven him. I've not.
No,
Like,
me
fuck
neither.
that idiot. So I asked him about David Moyes, and all he said was, I try to protect that guy.
Really?
Some of the things he was saying.
I remember you actually said, yeah, no, it rings a bell, you telling me this. Yeah. I think part of it, do you know what?
Oh, you turncoats.
But you know what it is? The only reason.
Absolute
the only
sad
reason.
act.
Because,
Absolute sad act.
No, because the only reason
Well,
is.
Steve's put a bit of pressure on me, so I'm
No,
going to change my mind.
Like a cheap snakes and ladders.
I'm thinking of those 37 seconds. I'm casting my mind back. Limbs all over the
Evra's
gaff.
just fucking.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm going to talk you through it because Joe doesn't seem to remember.
I do remember it.
Clearly not. Evra, he's in it. It's like he's bounced just nice for him, and he's fucking wadooshed it into the corner. Oh my god! Even Neuer's joined in.
So why
That's what he said to Evra, and he said that.
Why
he said
do
we're
we-
celebrating. We're thinking, why is Neuer celebrating with us? He's not. He's getting the ball so they can counter attack and score.
Why do we even have
that
the
happened.
disaster category then if David Moyes don't go into it? He
Because
took the
there's
champions to 7th. He got rid of some of United's best ever players and replaced them with Fellaini.
Do you know what it is though?
Like, how can he not have been a disaster?
The only reason I'm giving
Doesn't
him
make
out
any
of his depth
sense.
is because
Steve said it.
No, it's not that. It's the 37 seconds, and also
37 seconds.
Right.
He's there for 9
a lot
months.
can happen in 37 seconds, Joe.
Yeah,
right.
3
Believe
kids.
me. Yeah, exactly. Spread out over those 37 seconds.
Cumulatively.
Yeah. I'm thinking that this is also the beginning of the Ed Woodward era, and I've got to give him a bit of oblige for that because Ed Woodward was a disaster, and having him as your CEO or executive vice
If we're
chairman,
ranking our CEOs post to Alex,
yeah,
it's going to be a quick
he's
one.
in the dirt. Yeah, so
I'm outvoted. He's out of his
I'm
depth.
sorry. People can get involved in the comments and give it to me while I've let him convince me, because I'm no doubt people will be shouting now, but it was very close.
Right then, moving on, interim manager time. Not the last on the list, but the first, certainly. Ryan Giggs, 4 games for Manchester United, 50% win rate, 2 wins, a draw and a loss. I mean, it's a bit mad saying what win rate he had, but it was worse than David Moyes'. However, he did see James Wilson score a brace at Old Trafford, which was probably the highlight of his time there.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not dwell on it. Which category should it be in?
Go on now. Right.
There we go. Restore. I think it's pretty safe on that.
Yeah, it was, we just needed someone to go in a press conference and not defecate on the table and just play a team that the fans could get behind. And he did all that. His win record weren't great. We shouldn't have lost at home to Sunderland, obviously.
Yeah.
But, it felt a bit more like normal service resumed when Giggs came in.
It was the end of my childhood, though. Watching Ryan Giggs walk out, not in a kit, in a suit. I was like, oh shit, it's over.
Things have changed.
have to grow
Fergie's
up now
gone.
at
Giggs is
29.
gone. But yeah, I think that's a pretty safe one, isn't it? Can't give him any more than that, really. There's only 4 games, and it certainly wasn't a disaster. So, right, let's move on then. Next permanent manager, Louis van Gaal himself. I don't know what to do.
Right, Louis van Gaal.
Yeah.
Remember him? Dutch fella.
Obviously. When I think of van Gaal, I think of 3 things. No, 4 things.
Yeah.
The FA Cup,
Yeah.
debuts galore,
Yeah.
yeah.
Signings.
One field,
Yeah.
and 0-0 and no goals at my end of the stadium for 3.5 months. Those are the 4 main things to think about Louis van Gaal.
3, 2, 1. I've gone out of his depth.
How was he out of his depth, Joe?
I've got
Because-
restored pride.
Well, he was out of his depth because he won league titles everywhere he'd been except United. And
So that's why he needed more time.
well, no, not
Do you
necessarily.
know what though?
Because
To counter your argument,
go
right,
on.
the worst, like I understand
If
what,
the
what
nil-nils
you
have been
said,
2-0s,
but
well, yeah, of course.
it was horrible to watch. Like we were doing the United We Stand quiz during the game at one point, and everyone around us was joining in. It was also some of the decisions were unbelievably strange. Like I'm going to stick Di Maria up front, and I'm going to put Wayne Rooney in midfield, and I'm going to leave Ander Herrera on the bench for 4 months. It was like, okay, some of them paid off. Like I'm going to throw Paddy McNair in, and we won, and he was great. But others, you're like, what are you doing? Like, what is going on here? And listen, I love the results against City and Liverpool. That's why I've gone for restored pride. I'm winning the FA Cup because it's a major trophy. I don't like the way we treated him, sacking him just hours after he won it. It was disgusting. And I like the guy as a person. You know, we've been in press conferences, and I was absolutely buzzing when he recovered from his recent illness as well. So I've got a lot of fondness for.
And you email him once a month.
I'd email once a year and ask him for an interview, and he always politely, respectfully declines. But one year, you never know.
Let's up it to once a month.
Yeah. But I can't ignore the football. I can't ignore the 4-0 against MK Dons. I can't ignore the loss to Southampton at home, the loss to Norwich at home, the loss away to Bournemouth.
Yeah, but look at the 11 that played in the MK Dons.
Yeah, I get, all right, fair enough. But still, I can't just ignore these games and results.
He did what the fans want. The fans was like, play the youth. And he
Yeah.
played the youth.
That one-
And the
that
youth
one-
got
that one
fucking
game.
There's
licked
a
up.
reason though that the fans aren't the manager of Man United.
Yeah,
I know.
And also,
And if they were, they'd be out of their depth.
like some of those games were just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, this is so bad.
Look at the debuts, man.
Like, if we played Liverpool and City every week, it'd probably been all right, bizarrely.
And for the players that he was getting a 52% win rate out, playing League One now.
I know. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like, I remember when Paddy McNair made his debut. And he leapfrogged a load of players, didn't he? Like, and everyone was like, Paddy McNair started. And he was like man of the match.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, he's got a great future ahead of him. He's going to be in a...
Barfoot Jackson.
Yeah.
Borthwick Jackson
Joe
was
Riley.
brilliant,
Yeah. It was like...
The thing is, he's a very good manager, and as a person, he's probably my favourite or second favourite on this list. And
Yeah.
I think he, in a way, he did need more time. But I think as a manager, he was out of his depth at United. I don't think he'd ever seen the media scrutiny before. I don't think he quite understood that there was an expectation to play a certain way. The most boring football I've ever seen, maybe anywhere, let alone watching United.
What would his third year have looked like?
Maybe,
That's the question you always ask
The
that.
odds are it would have looked like more of the same because he put a team together and he'd played a certain way for 18 months. Why would it all of a sudden have been party time, free flowing football? It would have
Look
been
who we signed.
control,
three
control.
attacking players in that window. So whoever came in, whether that was Jose or whoever, had obviously decided that we needed to bring in some more attacking talent. Look who was playing in his team. Like I said, you had an 18-year-old who were relying on more up front. Who was midfield?
But again, I understand that. And it's like I said, to some degree, I think he could a bit more time. We could have seen something else, but you can't say that.
Luke Shaw flying, Memphis flying.
Also, as well,
flying.
you've got to remember, right? Every manager who's done 2 seasons post-Fergie, we've expected their 3rd season to be better, and it's been a
It's
disaster.
never been better.
Like, Jose and Ole didn't see out their 3rd season, and we all thought, oh, this is going to be better. I just think, no.
And
I
again,
can't
we
stay.
were
You've convinced me once.
We
but
were
I'm not
one
on this
season
bus.
away.
I'm not on this bus, bro.
We were when he signed. We were 13 months ago. We'd won the league.
Yeah.
So this still isn't a team that's like
No.
that Ole took over, where it's been 6 years or 5 years since we won the league. There's still some good pieces here. He didn't have to, but he didn't have to
not
play
really.
Tyler Blackett if he didn't want to.
I still think
He-
that
he
Moyes
had
had
people.
gigs. He didn't have Scholes, but he had gigs. He had
Yeah, of
Rio,
course.
he had Vidic, he had Evra.
It was getting worse.
They'd
and it was,
all
and it
gone.
was aging.
They'd all gone.
he's still got to, like, he got to tune out some of the players. You know, like you go back to Wanfield. Phil Jones had a stormer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like he could
He was a
get
good
tuned.
manager.
Yeah.
And I almost think that out of his depth isn't necessarily worse than restored pride, by the way. I know we're ranking him down, but out of his depth, he still could have restored some pride and he still could have deserved more time. But I think overall, he didn't have what it took to be a successful Man United manager. I don't think we would have seen that no matter how long he was there for. Should we meet in the middle and go with restored pride?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
right.
you two are either side of me.
We're either side of
and
you.
I think that you're sort of saying more positive. You're saying not
I
necessarily
don't think
on him.
I don't think he would have got there.
Yeah, I don't as well. I just think that he's one of those managers who definitely you look back on, and I think history's been kinder to him because you go, he won a trophy. We would all love that now, wouldn't
And
we?
he was a
You know,
very
he put his
intelligent, smart, funny
Yeah.
bloke.
Yeah,
But he
and-
wasn't
Oh, he's
right
off
for
his
Man United. He was
tits.
brilliant.
He was. I mean, his press conference. What annoyed me about his press conferences is they used to cut it short, and you knew he would have sat there for an hour.
Yeah.
He would box off.
I
Yeah.
wish the press conferences were 90 minutes and the games were 12 minutes. Because then you might have actually enjoyed ourselves.
And embargoed.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So we're going to pop him
That's a
in
great
Restore
shout.
Pride. Meet in the
I
middle.
love
You've
that.
won there, Jay. Well done.
Finally,
Right,
Hey.
let's move on then. Jose Mourinho, the next permanent manager of Manchester United. He had the best win ratio of anyone on this list, 58.3%. Won the most trophies of anyone on this list as well, the League Cup and the Europa League. And they'll say the Community Shield, but we're not giving him that. Let's see where Jose Mourinho falls. It's a tough one, isn't it, Jose? Right, come on.
I think this is. I don't know, man. 1, 2, 3. And we have gone completely different. We've gone
this
one
is,
end of the
this is
spectrum.
absolutely radical.
to
We've
the
got
other.
one end, the middle, and the bottom.
And I think,
Right, you start first, Jay, because you've
Right.
gone with the biggest claim there, I think.
right, for starters, someone has to be the greatest since Fergie. It doesn't mean he was fantastic at United, he wasn't. But of the managers we've had, he's the only one who won 2 trophies. He's the only one who won a trophy in Europe. He's not the only one, but we finished second, albeit a distant second. So there is some positives there. Yeah. Also,
The highest points total.
highest points total. I think Zlatan was probably. It's between Zlatan and Bruno, who's probably been our best signing post Fergie for me. I think. So there was a lot there where you can go, okay, that was great. And also, that League Cup final, the game itself, we were out of it and we could come back with a late winner. The Stockholm was one of the best nights I've had as a Red, genuinely. So there's a lot of positives there. And also, I did like him in press conference. I did like that air about him. I did like that swagger about him. You felt like it was almost like this is a Manchester United manager who knows what he's doing, who knows he feels like he belongs here. He's not overawed by the job. He's not confused. He's proper like, this is me, and what? It's just a shame that when it went sour on all fronts.
Yeah.
The fans, the manager, the board, the players. He fell out with everyone. Had he just fallen out with, say, Pogba and Martial or whoever, he'd have been okay. But he fell out with those. He fell out with Ed Woodward. He fell out to a lesser degree with some of the fans. It just felt like he hated everything about it.
Yeah.
And I just felt like he didn't want to be there anymore. And I think some of his decisions towards the end almost were like a signal to the board. What, you're not giving me a defender? I'm going to put McTominay in defence and I'm going to keep him there.
So you're saying he's the greatest since Fergie because of the trophies? He won the most trophies, therefore he's the best.
Yeah, I just think that you have to, for me as a fan, I am fickle. Winning trophies is the most important thing. He won 2 of them. I'm not counting the Charity Shield. So I'm going to put him in there.
I'll go next because obviously disaster's we want to hear what Stu has to say. I put Restore Pride because of the trophies. Yeah. I think United felt like a team that could beat anyone and could win consistently. 58% win ratio really isn't bad for a team that, again, has floundered so much in the years since Fergie had left. What was it, 81 points? We got 80 points, I think. Yeah. The only time we've had 80 plus since Sir Alex left. And it felt like we could win trophies. Winning the League Cup, it's not the FA Cup, it's not the Champions League, but it's not easy. Winning the Europa League is not easy. No. And I think he restored the pride before the wheels fell off, that United were a dangerous team that could beat anyone and could consistently beat teams on their day. So I think restored pride for that reason. Obviously, toward the end, it was borderline disaster and it became a bit embarrassing. Yeah. But I think for a good period there, we felt like a proper team again with a proper manager that could actually win stuff.
Stephen Howson.
Disaster.
Why?
Expectations.
Okay.
When you appoint Jose Mourinho, the man that's won the league everywhere he's been, I remember the video me and you did. Yeah. And I remember my reservations about Jose. And when you step onto this carousel, when you go and dance with the devil, you got to pay the piper or something.
I want that clip up. That is a saying. When you dance with the devil, you got to pay the piper. Yeah, because a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
Yeah. And a cat's whisker. And a fiddle by the lake.
A trick in time saves 9.
In the moonlight, right?
Exactly.
So
well said.
I said I didn't want Manchester United to be good. And I always stand by. I always want managers to get time. I hate that fucking constant wish-wash of managers and actually the blame for the managers. The managers get launched because it's easier to launch one manager than 11 players. And that's the facts, right? People hugely overstate the importance of what managers do. Like if you give Pep Guardiola Watford, they're still getting relegated, right? Some people genuinely believe, well, he won the league with them because it's Pep. Yeah. It's not how it fucking works, lads. Like, oh, he could coach them. Yeah, really? That's why he spent 1.2 billion because he's not going to coach? Behave. What the expectation was and the reasoning why you bring in Jose Mourinho was because he's meant to win the league. He's not meant to win the League Cup. He ain't meant to win the Europa League. That was not what we got. You've gone to the dealership, asked them for a saloon, and he's brought you a minibus and gone, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted, yeah.
Still drives.
It does still drive, but it didn't at the end because he parked it at Anfield and they robbed the wheels off us. Yeah. They left it in the 6-yard box at Anfield. That was the lowest point we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson. There was a disconnect, more so than there is at the moment. I just think it's a lot of shit and don't care. But there was a complete disconnect between... It's not fine.
No, I know.
But it's a notch above the desperation of we are... This is just... I can't even describe the words I'm trying to say here because it was awful. And the team was good. When you looked at the 11 on paper, it was good. Start of Ollie's second season or whatever, I know I was saying, this is the worst squad I've seen in 30 years. There's no Zlatan. There's no magic in there. You had Paul Pogba, but did you? He was only here half the time. Yeah. Jose Mourinho was meant to win us a league, and he left us in, 7th or something when he was fired. Yeah. The winning of the 2 trophies, moot point. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a penalty kick away.
Yeah, but I get that, but you know, that's not.
I know it's the margins.
You know, John Terry was a penalty kick away from winning the Chelsea the Champions League, but he didn't.
Does the vastness of the ranking of what a manager has achieved swing so heavily on someone else's penalty kick or save?
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
you know,
that's what you've gone with disaster.
For me as well, sometimes being a fan, it's part of those feelings that you get, and like, you know, winning those trophies gives you a feeling that I didn't quite get from getting to the Europa League final as well. From getting, you know what I mean, from getting to the semi-finals all those times. Yes,
Stockholm was emotional because of what happened in Manchester 2 days prior.
I always struggle with that one because I can't separate the two. I just can't.
Winning a League Cup, I was there at the game, and it was nice. I don't think it's in my top 50 United memories.
Yeah. I think it's gone up because of what's come since.
Maybe.
And I'm guilty of that.
How are we going to work this out then?
I want to talk to you about going into big games.
Go on.
Because one thing that Solskjaer did, I went into big games, maybe the last 6 months, but I went into big games thinking, he knows how to win this game, and we're going to have a go. And we got some sensational results at the Etihad and that. Jose Mourinho tried to 0-0 and was happy losing 1-0.
Yeah.
Some of the absolute gutless performances that we've seen from United in those big games, it was like he didn't even try to win. He just tried not to lose 4 or 5-0.
Yeah. There was
Jose
a
Mourinho,
spinelessness to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't disagree with what we said,
defense,
because every manager's flawed. Everyone we've had since Fergie, that's why they've all been sacked, pretty much. I just feel like he's the least flawed. I think although he didn't do what it says on the tin, and me and you stood there and we both said the same thing. I said he'll probably go in 3 years, but we'll have a title before he does. That was what I thought would happen. And I'm not going to pretend that the European League Cup is as good as a Premier League title. It ain't. But I just feel like in the context of the other managers, someone's got to be the best out of the lot of them, and he just edges
2/3 of the Scouse treble.
I know.
Not celebrating.
I know. Right. You know.
So where are we going to go then? We need to put him somewhere. I don't think he can go in greatest since Alex, because presumably me and Stu are about to agree on that.
Is there any restored pride to you, Steve? Does he get a bit of that?
For winning some trophies?
Yeah. Can we knock him down to that?
No, I don't think you can say restored pride. I mean, maybe you can say restored pride, and all the helmets on Twitter are going to, that's still talking about him, still on his profile picture, are going to absolutely
they
love him.
seem to discard the last 6 months.
But, yeah, they do, absolutely.
I think it's unfair to say
there was no pride in how we won under Jose. That wasn't Manchester United way.
But at least there was some pride in winning. Whereas I think to call him an outright disaster when he did win the most trophies, I think
you
that's
can
unfair.
still say that Matty O'Darmian has won more European trophies in the last 4 years than Manchester City Football Club. You can still say
we meet in the middle.
Yeah.
That's a good point, well made.
Thank you.
Restore pride?
Yeah, restore
Sorry,
pride.
Jay. Sorry, Steve.
No, it's all right. I can live with that.
I got my way for
I
once.
mean, let's face it, I'm not about to sort of, I'm not about to lose my mind because Jose Mourinho's not ranked up there with Fergie.
Right, next up then, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Let's reveal our boards.
Best since Alex.
Best
I'm
Alex.
outvoted here.
Best
You
since
two have
pride.
gone with it. I obviously couldn't because I'd already done that with Jose and I couldn't go twice. I get it. I feel like, okay. I feel like he gets a bad rep, Ollie, in the sense that those 2.5 years or whatever probably had more good memories just game to game under Ollie than I've had as a United fan. There was so many good games, so many...
Since Fergie, presumably.
Yeah, since Fergie, obviously, sorry. Yeah. So many times when we came back from behind... Yes, Atkinson. We beat, like you say, we kept going to the Etihad, getting results, and that does matter. It's a bit of bragging rights and stuff like that. And that record run, when he took over Paris and all that, when you were smashing up the studio... Also,
right there.
Yeah. Also, as well, the other record run we had when Bruno came in, then the third record run we had of all them away wins again. So there's a lot there to go. This was there was a lot to be happy about, but ultimately losing all those semi-finals, losing the final, it just and then also I can't forget sitting at Old Trafford or standing at Old Trafford and watching us get battered 5-0 off the Scousers. Yeah. I just can't. I can't forget us watching getting battered off Watford and getting battered off Leicester. And it's just, I have to take it all, like I did with Jose, I have to take it all into context. And that's just, it undermines the idea that he's great since Fergie for me.
Do you want to go first, Steve?
Yeah. So as Jay correctly mentioned, you had the run when he came in. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Just take yourself back to that for a minute.
Yeah.
I might have said some silly things.
Do you know those days
when
you've been out all day or you've been like moving house and you've not eaten all day and you're knackered and you're just so fucking tired, and then you have fish and chips or a Chinese. Yeah. And not just is it a great
Chinese
meal, but it's so much better than what you've been doing all day.
Yeah.
That's what Solskjaer was. That run at the start, not only was it a record-breaking run, but it was so much better than the fearful, scared, timid performances that we'd seen under Jose.
Yeah.
It was some of the most fun it's been to watch Man United.
I think fun is a good word to describe it. There was a lot of fun during that.
So I finished with what I was saying then.
Sorry.
He had that record-breaking run where it defied logic, the amount of games we were winning. We won 5-0 more times under Ole than any of the rest of the managers that we'd had since him combined.
Yeah.
Right? And if we're talking about winning and smashing teams, he did that.
Yeah.
We had the big games where we would go to Paris and have no hope whatsoever and win. And we would go to the Etihad. I don't think we'd beat Liverpool at Anfield, but I think we would go and try. And we certainly had a good go at the Etihad. Yeah, we fell at the semi-finals, but we got to semi-finals.
That's the point.
Sevilla, I think we were unlucky. Chelsea, we phoned it in, I think, thinking about other games and managing the squad, because the squad at the time was really struggling. We were a penalty kick away from winning a Europa League trophy. The margins were small. And I think with the hindsight of the last 6 months of utter disaster that we've seen from Manchester United, there can be different reasons for it. Some players have phoned it in. We've had a couple of injuries to key players in certain areas, and we've had players not come back from the Euros, which has impacted both Ralf and Ole. I completely disagree at the time, and I wouldn't change my mind on this. It felt like they weren't playing for Ole. I mean, but it's obvious they're not playing for Ralf as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether hindsight would say, actually, if we could have ridden out that genuinely awful period where, I was there when we got smashed 5-0 by Liverpool. How much of that was the manager? How much of that was defenders not tracking runs across the front post?
I'll give you that one.
There's not 100% either way. It's not 100% of the players, not 100% on Ole, but there's some meeting in the middle where they both need to take into account for this. Could Ole have had different tactics? Yes. Would they have listened to him? Fucking clearly no, if you listen to Ralf. So when you think about everything holistically, we went on a record-breaking run of away games, undefeated. We've just literally done the opposite of that, where we've just broken a run of consecutive defeats. All of those, do you remember, like in the Moyes season, there was a record every week when, literally.
First time in 40 years someone's won at Old Trafford.
Yeah, first time since 1931.
Most losses at home in the season or whatever it was.
Yeah.
What is this?
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was flipping records that Fergie didn't do.
Yeah.
That's why he's the greatest since Fergie. He was also the only manager. You talk about, Jose won a League Cup. We literally sacked Louis after he won an FA Cup. We don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
What the Glazers give a fuck about, this isn't me saying, here's what we all want, but what they genuinely give a fuck about is top 4 finishes. He came second and third. The only manager since Sir Alex Ferguson that did that. Jose Mourinho couldn't keep a squad competing on multiple fronts at United. So he fucking phoned the league in to get us to that Europa final. If Marcus Rashford doesn't top bins that free kick at the end, this is another semi-final fucking failure for Manchester United. These are the margins. And we're judging managers on players' performance. The players are in more of a say in what goes on here than some of these managers. And the margins of judging some of them, Jose's win rate was sensational. It was, in terms of 58%. Anyone touching near 60% win rate is doing a good job. Ole had a load of those that weird losses he would get. We didn't draw a lot, it felt like, under Ole. We would win or we would fucking lose.
Yeah.
And the wheels came off in a big way this season. And I don't know why. I don't think we know why still the wheels came off, for whatever reason. He came in and said, I want us to be everything that we think Ten Hag's going to be. He said to the players, you're going to be the fastest, most aggressive front foot team in Europe. That was his plan. Clearly, he couldn't implement that plan. For whatever reason, Ralph's come in, also failed to implement that plan. I think the writing's on the wall that you're probably going to see that with Ten Hag, unless he gets in players that are able to implement that plan.
One of the things, though, with Ole is, I feel like had he won that trophy, had he got that win in the Europa League final, then that would have given him so much breathing space, and maybe, I don't know, maybe a bit of belief, because you look at Arsenal, for example. Arteta wins the FA Cup in his first season, finishes eighth again, but he's given himself that breathing space, and people are willing to put with a bit of a dip because you've got that silverware. because you've got that trophy already in the bank. And that's one of the things that Adam McCullough has been on Last Man Standing on the with Bet Victor. He was chatting about that. He was chatting about Arteta because obviously Arsenal, Spurs, they're going for top 4. And here's what he had to say about it.
So tell me, who's going to win a trophy next, Arteta or Conte?
You know, if I just looked at the teams on paper and I looked at the managers, I go towards Antonio Conte. But unfortunately for you, Flav, we have to factor in this thing called Tottenham.
Yeah.
And I think
I'm acutely aware of it.
We saw it recently with Real Madrid against Manchester City. And I just think every time Tottenham come to that stage now, there's more pressure added on. Harry Kane still not won a trophy. Son still crying somewhere. We know that pressure could probably tell. And like we've said, Arteta's already got a trophy, all those kind of things. So Arsenal probably find it easier to win. But again, on the flip side, and look, this isn't going to happen. But if you were to say who's more likely to win a Champions League or a Premier League at their clubs, I do go Conte, but obviously neither of them are going to win it.
Yeah, and in terms of where Ole ranks on this list, I think, for me, he's still the greatest since Fergie, despite the fact he didn't win a trophy. I think if he'd won a trophy, not only would he be the greatest since Fergie, he'd still be managing Manchester United. I think if he had won that Europa League, he would still be managing Manchester United the way Arteta is still managing Arsenal. I think people were so busy to compare, Lampard and Solskjaer. Maybe it was Arteta and Solskjaer that maybe would have had a more similar path if Ole had won that trophy the way Arteta did. So, I mean, as far as Tottenham are concerned, they don't win anything ever anyway, so that doesn't really matter. But I think the Arsenal comparison is slightly better. As much as it pains me to say it, after some of the stick I gave Arteta,
better than Arteta,
and I still don't think Arteta is a great manager. Yeah. But if Ole had have won that trophy, I think that he'd still be the manager of Manchester United.
It's an interesting point, and make sure you are checking out the Last Fan Standing with Bet Victor. Give them a comment. Let them know whether you think Ole or Arteta or Jose were any good, and make sure you are commenting from Stretford Paddock. Let them know you've come over from Stretford Paddock, because it's sad to me that Arteta's still there and Ole isn't.
Unfortunately, Jay, you're outvoted.
I am outvoted.
And Ole Solskjaer is going in as the greatest manager since Fergie.
I'm not going to sit and go, that's ridiculous, because I kind of get where you come from. I know, but I don't agree.
Right, let's move on.
Michael Carrick, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Restore pride. He's scratching that with him.
There you go.
Pride
rules. Yeah.
I think it's a pretty easy one, isn't it?
Came in for 3 or 4 games? Can't remember.
4 games.
4 games. Beat Villarreal. Got us through to the last 16 of the Champions League.
Done himself no harm as well, walking away at the time he did after doing that. Thank you, good night.
Beat Arsenal.
The
first time we beat Arsenal in the league since Jose was manager.
That's unreal. Also the result at Stamford Bridge.
1-1.
This is when Chelsea were good.
Yeah, we arguably should have beaten that day. Yeah. I think it's a pretty quick,
I know,
cut and dry.
just a little thing, just quick. The way he carried himself. He left it with his head held high. He gave a good chat in the press conferences. And the way he managed the team, there was no dramas. Mm-hmm. And Michael Carrick, bizarrely, I loved him as a player. Actually went up a little bit in my estimation as a caretaker manager because of what he did.
I don't need to dwell on this because I know we've all agreed there. Is there an argument to say that he deserved more time, that he should have been given that job?
I think that's a retrospective argument.
I agree.
I'd made that argument, but I wasn't saying it at the time. I was jumping on your bus because you knew more about Ralf Rangnick than I did, and going, okay, this makes sense. But I agree. With hindsight only.
Right. Carrick restored a bit of pride. Right. Next up then, Ralf Rangnick. Flip him.
Excuse my writing, it's awful.
We all agreed.
Yeah.
Out of his depth.
The only reason I've not gone with disaster is purely because of the press conferences. That is it. I think his record as a manager and what's gone on with the squad has been shambolic. And I know it's not his fault. I know these players have given up, but as a manager, he has to take some responsibility for that. And I'm watching my team getting battered every week. I'm watching just dramas everywhere, and the manager's got to be a little bit culpable for that. But there is a bit of gold each week when he stands in front of that media and he says, the owners are all dickheads. And I'm here for that. So,
almost word for word what Jay's just said. I think his press conferences are great.
Yeah.
Obviously, Rio's trending at the moment because of his opinions on Ralph's things. But, I tend to disagree a little bit with what Rio said. And as a fan, I've enjoyed having those truths put out there. I think, his record is by far the worst.
39% win
so
rate,
bad.
which is over 10% lower than any other United manager,
Yeah,
including
but I also
interims.
think that if you just looked at that alone, he's a new category.
Yeah.
But you have to frame it with the context of, I think he's had 11 fit first-team players for the majority of his reign. And that's because some of these cowardly, spineless bastards have just tossed it off. Some of them will genuinely be injured. Some of them got a little bit of fucking stick and just went, fuck this, I don't get paid enough for that. And they do. And they just fucking decided to take the ball home. The leaks didn't start under Ralf, but they've continued under Ralf and arguably multiplied under Ralf. There is so many unhappy players. And the fact that you've got all of the people that we just listed, from Moyes and Louis and Jose and Ole and Giggs, and even though he didn't sign anyone, but all of these players, all of these managers have had a hand in building this Frankenstein's monster of a team that we've got at the moment. Yeah. And Erik ten Hag needs a clean slate to have a go. Ralf Rangnick's got... how many of these players do you genuinely trust? 3? Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Ronaldo, Bruno De Gea.
Yeah. Sancho probably.
Yeah.
Like, these players, like Roy Keane has said, have thrown manager after manager under the bus. And I think that Ralf has just caught the tail end of it whipping round as 10 of them are about to see their ass out the door. And they've totally tossed it off. You ever worked a long notice at a job?
No. Only a month.
Right. By the end of that, how little of a fuck did you give?
Oh, yeah. You barely turned up by the end.
I had a 9-month one, Joe.
9 months?
Yeah.
Jesus, waps.
I think it was called a pregnancy.
You can't just leave. You can't just. It's the army in it, so you can't just say
right.
I quit and then you're out the next day.
Yeah.
There's a lengthy sort of time to get you out.
It's a bit disconcerting. You got people in the army that are 9 months. No, it's like
They take you off everything.
Right, I was about
You
to
literally
say.
just get to sit on a camp. I got well good at Pro Evo, so but like by the end of that, like I wasn't even pretending to give a fuck.
Yeah.
Now, player contracts might be the same. They might have decided last summer, I'm fucking getting out of here. They might have been professional for 3 months. They might have been professional till Christmas until they could start talking to people. As soon as they've been starting talking to people, as soon as they've been like booking U-Hauls and that, they might have just fully phoned it in. And by the looks of some of the performances, they've fully phoned it in. Like I always say, there's more of a blending of blame. Managers get 100% of it. And I'm not saying they should get 0% of it, but they should take some of the blame and the players should take some of the blame. And I think Ralf is just the unfortunate person that's got to sweep this shit-stormed room out.
And knowing he's got by far the longest interim period of anyone on this list, having a 6-month interim period, that is so difficult to get the players motivated to learn a new style, to learn a new structure, especially when so many of them are leaving.
You're not my real dad.
No,
Fuck
I
off.
think it's not a disaster because he has maybe highlighted for the medium, for some of the fans, just how much these players are taking the piss, which I think may well help Ten Hag next season in getting a bit more time to instill his methods.
Jose tried to say this. When he said, my greatest achievement was coming second, you won't believe some of the things going on behind the scenes. He kind of alluded to it, and we all just go, it's Jose chatting shit. That's what he does. Ole was never going to do that. Ole has got his club legend status to protect no matter what happens. And a lot of people called him a Glazer puppet for that. I know he was different behind the scenes than he was in front of the cameras, and maybe that was the flaw in all his character, is that he wants to be seen as a likeable, positive guy. And he protected a lot of these players, probably looked more exaggerated because he came after Jose, who did not do that. And it was the complete antithesis of that. And because of that, it was an exaggerated caricature of both characters.
He did overdo it sometimes, though, Ollie. Like, high-fiving Maguire as he gets sent off against Watford. Like,
we're back to Ole. Let's wrap this up. We could talk all day about Manchester United managers.
Right.
Thank you very much for joining us. Let us know your thoughts. Who's the greatest of all time, of the last 8 years? Who is?
No one's challenging
You know
Fergie,
what?
Alan.
It's probably not any of these.
This video should be called Best of a Bad Bunch with Stretford Paddock. Who's the best of a bad bunch? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jay. And thank you to myself as well. You're welcome.
Yeah, well done, Jay.
Thanks for watching. And we'll see you in a bit.